You have a vision you've been thinking about for months. You know exactly what you want to build. You've thought about it for months, maybe years. And here's the strange part. The bigger the dream becomes, the harder it feels to start. And yet, here you are, still thinking, still planning, still waiting for the right moment that never seems to arrive. And the worst part? You're not lazy. You never were. So why does the biggest part of you feel completely frozen? There's a specific kind of person nobody talks about. They're not unmotivated. They have notebooks full of ideas. They stay up late, not watching videos, but thinking, planning, imagining what life would look like if they actually started. They consume every piece of content about success. They know the strategies. They understand the process. They've read the books, watched the talks, saved the posts. And then they go to bed, and tomorrow looks exactly like yesterday. If that's you, this video isn't going to tell you to wake up earlier. It's going to tell you something much harder to hear. The reason you're stuck has almost nothing to do with effort. It has everything to do with what the dream means to you. Here's what psychology has quietly confirmed for years. When something doesn't matter to us, starting is effortless. You can reorganize a drawer you don't care about. You can reply to a message that has no emotional weight. You can scroll for an hour without thinking twice. But the moment something becomes important, truly important, the brain shifts into a completely different mode. It stops asking, "How do I start?" It starts asking, "What happens if I fail?" And for ambitious people, that question doesn't feel like a question. It feels like a threat, because somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing your dream as a project. You started seeing it as proof. Proof that you're as capable as you believe you are. Proof that all those years of imagining weren't wasted. Proof that you are who you think you are. And when the dream becomes proof of your identity, starting becomes dangerous. Because now you're not testing an idea. Failure stops feeling like a setback. It starts feeling like a verdict. Think about the person who has wanted to start a YouTube channel for 3 years. They know the equipment. They've written scripts in their head during every commute. They've imagined the comments, the community, the impact. But they haven't posted a single video. And they tell themselves they're waiting until they're ready, until the lighting is right, until they know enough, until the timing makes sense. But the truth, the real truth, is this. As long as the channel lives in their imagination, it's perfect. It can be exactly what they dreamed. The moment they post that first video, reality arrives. And reality is always messier than the dream. That gap between what you imagined and what actually exists is the thing most ambitious people are quietly terrified of. Not failure itself, the gap. Psychologists call this part of it identity-based avoidance. Your sense of who you are becomes so tied to what you might create that creating it feels riskier than never trying. Because if you never try, you can always believe you would have succeeded. That belief is a kind of armor, and the armor is destroying you quietly. Here's the twist that changes everything. The very thing that makes you ambitious, the intensity of your vision, the depth of how much you care, the fact that this dream means something real to you, that is exactly what's keeping you stuck. You're not frozen because you don't care enough. You're frozen because you care so much that the risk feels unbearable. This isn't weakness. It's a kind of love that turned protective. Your brain learned that if this dream matters enough, it needs to be perfect before it can exist. And perfect things don't get built. They get imagined. So what do you actually do with this? You don't fix it by forcing yourself to care less. You fix it by changing what you measure. Stop measuring whether the output is good enough. Start measuring whether you moved today. Not moved well, not moved perfectly, just moved. The first video doesn't have to reach anyone, it just has to exist. Because the ambitious person who never starts never actually finds out what they were capable of. They only ever know what they could have been. And somewhere inside you, you already know that's not the life you want. You don't want a highlight reel of what you planned. You want the real thing, even if it's imperfect, even if it's slow, even if the first version makes you cringe later. Because that cringe, we've talked about this before, that cringe is just proof you grew. The dream doesn't need you to be ready. It needs you to be willing. Willing to start before you're certain. Willing to be seen before you're polished. Willing to let the thing you love most exist in a form that is real and flawed and yours. You've spent enough time protecting the dream. It's time to build it.